How would you describe then the content that you create on your Substack and your YouTube channel?
It's just stuff I love.
Uh,
That's all I can say.
yeah.
I think I look at the world and I see what's happening with the world, and I have a real love for humanity. I really do. I love people. I love the complexities of people. I have a lot of regard for how we evolve and how we develop and how agile we are to circumstances. But I'm also really interested in how easily, unfortunately, we can also be manipulated. And we see that a lot. We see it. We've seen it in the UK with the nudge unit. There's a book called The Nudge Unit, which explains how they can use psychology to, rather than telling people what to do, they can use psychology that influences you to go, oh, I am going to choose that rather than I'm going to choose that. And I love psychology. I think psychology is fantastic, but it's the same with anything. Use it for good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes it's not. And we can be manipulated, and now we're manipulated through so many different sources, through our algorithms, through the news that we hear, through, people are repeating rhetoric that they've heard, but there's no real evidence to support it, and there's no critical thinking or challenge.
In your book, you wrote, remember who you are. Remember what your attention is. Remember you are not powerless. You are the source of all the power they have taken. Take it back by choosing what to see. Choose what to feed. Can
Yeah.
you share a bit about your book?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all have a book in us, don't we? That's what they say, and I'm really grateful for you sending across your book. So I'm going to really look forward to reading that. Um, but yeah, I think again it's this inner knowing, this sense of inner knowing, and I don't know necessarily how I can explain. I was just feeling so much. I was seeing what was happening on the political stage, and I felt quite helpless seeing things happening. And I thought, what can I do? I feel like I'm just one person, and this doesn't feel right. And and I think we can feed, like when I talk about the egregore, this energy where we can feed all our anger and we can feed all the things that are wrong in our life, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it takes on a life of its own. And before you know it, it's running away, and you can't stop it. And I feel we know in the research, with certain platforms that unfortunately us as people, we don't tend to scroll for all the lovely things. You know, um, we are drawn to the salacious titles where something's happened and you're like, oh my gosh, like what's going on here? And you scroll and you scroll and scroll, and before you know it, that's all you're seeing. I take an example of this morning. I was just looking through some social media, and I was seeing things. I was like, why am I seeing all of this stuff? This is no good for me. This is no good for my brain. This I need
Great
I
that
need
you
some.
recognize that because so many
Yeah,
people have no
but so many
idea.
people don't.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's part of it. We're fed. This is what I'm saying. Be careful what you feed. Be really conscious about, I'm not saying don't use social media, don't do all those things. That would be, hypocritical for me to say, because, here we are on YouTube, which is a media platform. But be conscious about what it is that you're seeing. Be conscious of yourself, what you're feeding, and what you allow to feed you. Because there's a power within that shapes you, and it's an external power. um, and so for me, the writing of the book, I was seeing all these things. I thought, I'm one person, what can I do? And I just felt this need to talk about something in a way that was told in a story that hopefully would reach people at another level. So similarly to the Gnostic texts and things like that, they're telling a story.
Mhm.
And I wanted to tell a story of, how these architects had shaped the world that we live in. And they wanted it to do it in a particular way, that they did want to hide certain frequencies, which is our inner knowledge, our inner knowing, our connection to the earth, that very sacred connection to earth and source, to look at the divine feminine. Because my question is why are women in historical books or texts or biblical texts, why are they treated differently
Or
when
left out entirely.
oh yeah, absolutely, when we're creators of life, you know and in some, in some religions, in some like histories that we have, women were revered, but that's shifted and changed. And I'm not saying, right, hang on, we're all goddesses. Well, we are, but why is that changed so much? What has caused that? And I was thinking about the patriarchy, and then I was thinking about other things, and I think I just wanted to pull it all into one place where people could see that they can choose differently. You don't have to follow this sort of salacious route of life. There's another whole world out there with beautiful people, and the majority of people, I think, are good. They have good hearts. Unfortunately, the voices that are amplified, the minority which are amplified, and they're amplified for a reason, because it sells, and it creates this disharmony. And I don't actually think we want to live in disharmony. I think people just want to get along.
Yeah.
I think people just want to be able to wake up in the morning, do whatever it is they're doing, enjoy their time with their family, enjoy what's outside, enjoy nature, but they're not given the opportunity to, because we're getting this interruption all the time. Which, no wonder there's such a huge impact on mental health. My thought around the patriarchy, for example, is actually it damages men just as much as, well, in a similar way, slightly similar but different way, than it damages women.
Yeah.
But who are these people that decided to create it like this, who hold all this power? And yet it's just trickled down and treated as, well, it's just the way it is. It's just the way things are. Why? Why is this just the way things have to be? Why is that?
How
And
dare you ask that
yeah,
question?
I know. No, silence, be quiet. But why does it have to be? And we're told, oh, well, you can't do anything else because it would be chaos. It'd be chaos. Well, how do we know that? And actually, there are systems in other parts of the world, I've written about this too, where there are different systems at play that do work, but those aren't highlighted because that's good news.
Right.
And actually, what keeps the economy going doesn't seem to be good news. That doesn't, unfortunately, that doesn't.
Or fake news, so that it does keep the economy going.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think, and even the terms that we use about, woke, or that person's really woke. Fine, you can call me that if you want to, but all I'm saying is I'm looking at things and I'm asking questions about it. I'm not just accepting that as the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with that. So if you want to label me as woke for doing that, go ahead. Absolutely go ahead. It's even when, people say, oh, you're a heretic, or you're this, or you're that. Well, yeah, because the genuine word is to choose differently. So I'm okay with that too. And I think all and that's the interesting thing about how these words have been weaponized to keep you in order. And I don't want to be I'm not going to break the law. I'm not going to break the rules, but I don't want to be in someone else's order. I want to find my own way. I have my own brain, my own thoughts, and which we all do. We just got to learn how to do it again. I appreciate my book might not be for everyone. I get that. It doesn't have to be. And I might rewrite it in a different way, because I wanted to write it in a mythical way, because I'm fascinated by those sorts of things. And I love that type of story. I want to be taken on a bit of a journey. I want things to be explained to me in ways that I can go, oh, that's the magical resonance of vibration and the goddesses. And what I also find fascinating, sorry, I know I'm jumping back, is the goddesses that I feature within the book are in every single culture, but known by different names.
Mm-hmm.
And so every single culture has these divine goddesses that do certain things, but they have to, and they're not related cultures. They would not have been related cultures in the time that they were written. So where does that come from? Where does that expression come from? Unless it's something that we intuitively know.
Something so deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that for me, I was like, hang on a minute. They're calling this person over here and this person over here, and they're doing the same thing. So yeah, and so I chose the 9. I don't know why. I actually don't know why I chose the 9, and I don't know why I chose 9 for binding. I don't, I can't honestly tell you why. Maybe that was just my imagination, but for me that felt really symbolic, and I don't know, and I still don't know why. So I can read my book again and go, where did that come from?